So I was thinking about doing a slideshow for this, but the Ember Initiative has been a bit of a roller coaster with lots of communication on both blog posts and Blue Sky. If anybody follows me on Blue Sky, they'll see the massive threads where we get a lot of excitement. And I thought that it would be good to do a quick run through. I'm only doing 5 minutes here, hopefully, of the big things that we've achieved in the first month of the Ember Initiative. We are writing a blog post that will go through this all in much more detail and should be released next week. But yeah, this is just a roller coaster ride through everything that we've been doing. So it started with obviously the start of the Ember Initiative. I wrote a blog post that laid out the goals of the things that we wanted to do. Um, the the Ember Initiative, if anybody hasn't read this blog post, they really should go and read it because it's a good read. It lays out where the Ember Initiative comes from. It is a follow on from the Embroider Initiative, and it talks about what our focuses are. The current focus is making embroider the default for everybody. If anybody's been following along the development of that, we are very close. We are moments away. Hopefully, there'll be a few good announcements in the next week or two that move towards that. But also, we're looking into the future as well. So we are talking about polishing and making embroider the default, but also we're looking at improvements that will help future Ember developers and help improve ergonomics in the longer term. So anybody who's been following Polaris development knows that one of the things we want to work on is the routing API, not to like completely throw it out because it's good, just to allow us ways to experiment with new ways to do routing with like better tracked support and resources, etc. So first of all, encourage you to go and have a look at that blog post. And part of the effort to polish embroider is to give people good documentation on how to upgrade to their existing classic apps or their embroider stable apps to the new Vite build system. And Marine, my colleague, did a lot of work on the ember-vite-codemod and wrote this nice blog post that goes into our decision process of, we could write a lot of detailed documentation, or we could just write a code mod that does most of it for you, and we document what it's doing so that you don't have to do the work. You only need to go and look at the documentation if it's not working the way it should. So again, very much encourage people to go and have a look at this and to try it out because the code mod works. We've fixed a few bugs that people have reported. Ed's even tried it and reported a few bugs that we, I think, have fixed by now. But yeah, it's time for people to try this out. And to allow us to have it work with as many people as possible, we made sure that Embroider and Vite would work with as many Ember versions as we possibly could. The default was from 5.12, I think, would work. But essentially we had to do some digging on making sure that older Ember versions worked correctly. The actual code to make older Ember versions work is really interesting. If anybody's curious about how that actually works, do reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about this for hours, but I'm not here to talk about this for hours. So we supported Ember 5.8, and then very shortly after that, less than a week after that, we are able to support all the way back to Ember 3.28. And this is where people started getting really excited. Anybody who's on older Ember apps knows how hard it is to sometimes upgrade when they get stuck on older versions. And if you see all this modern stuff that we're working on, you're like, oh no, I wish I could use Vite. I wish I could use GJS. But our goal has always been to support from 328 up. And we got there with, it was hard to get there, but we got there in the end. And this is where a lot of people were very excited. There was a lot of reactions and talks and threads sparked from here. No Vox Populi, always available on Blue Sky to see these things. Of course, the company that's organizing the Ember Initiative, Mainmatter, we're happy to shout about this stuff as well. It's all very exciting. But the work on embroider isn't the only thing that we've been doing. Ed will talk to us a bit more about the template tag code mod, but with the Ember Initiative, we have this ability to pair with backers to help them get onto new Vite stuff, use the embroider or the template tag code mod to upgrade as much of their apps as possible. And Discourse, thankfully, Discourse are an open source product, so you can actually go and look at some of the pull requests that we've been working on. But essentially, I think 2 weeks into our pairing sessions, or maybe it was 3 weeks into our pairing sessions, we were able to get 280 out of their 350 like templates in their main app upgraded to GJS, which is amazing. The next week we did further 80. And then further after that, we were able to, in like one session, update all of their admin files to GJS in a single 2-hour session. So if you're listening to this and hearing that there's a lot of momentum happening in the Ember Initiative, that is what I'm trying to communicate. A lot of stuff is happening very quickly at the moment. And I personally would like to keep this going for as long as possible. I am deeply connected to Ember. I like that I'm able to help it, but professionally, I think it's in all of our interests to keep the Ember Initiative going as long as possible. So if anybody agrees with me and says that they want to keep this going and keep the momentum, now is the time to join the Ember Initiative. The last thing that we would want would be for us to like do all this work, then stop for a while and then start it again and have to slow down. Essentially, we want to just make it so that we can be working on this for as long as possible. I will close out this little deep dive into the momentum that we've had in the first month with a lovely little AI generated poem about the stuff that we've been doing. That Tommy Jr. tweeted at me or skeeted at me. Is that what you say for Blue Sky? The build tool changes, a new era begins. Vite steps in with speed and wins. And that is the story of all of our Ember apps over the next 10 years, let's say. That's it for my little deep dive. How do I stop my share?